Hypocrisy's the best policy. Wish for change but lazily. Century of debilitation. Your evolution is a damnation. Warranties can't fix a heart. Industrialize and drive us apart. What you advertise can't rationalize. Shining a new one fix any lie. You know, one of the things I enjoy the most about hosting this podcast is when I get to sit down with players, coaches, parents, and fans to talk pucks. As the 7th in my series on being a female hockey player, I sat down with Fey Andrews, defenseman for the Guildford Lightning of the Women's Premier League. Enjoy. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Trav, aka 5 Minute Major, and I'm pleased to be joined by Faye Andrews. She is a defenseman for the Guildford Lightning, which is a team in a women's elite league in England. Faye, thank you so much for taking some time out, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. How old were you when you first started skating?
First started skating around 5 or 6 years old.
How were you introduced to the sport of hockey?
Completely by accident, actually. Where I grew up in there's a small town, and we weren't that far from a rink, and that's quite hard over in the UK because there's really not that many rinks. And my mum needed something for me to do while she was out and about on a Saturday. Didn't need to be dragging me around. And the local rink had a really, I don't know what you guys call it over there, pee-wee or?
Sure, like pee-wee, there's like different levels.
Tiny
right.
tots thing, where it was for under 8s that could go, and it would cost, well, basically nothing because it was for really young children, and they could hire the skates and the helmet and stick and puck, and just basically have a lot of fun on the ice with the coaches, play games. All the stuff, throw yourself on the ground, get back up again, just the little kids stuff. And from there, they decided they didn't have an under-8s team at that rink, and they started up a team from this program that they had on the Saturday mornings. They approached my mum and said, "Oh, she seems to really enjoy it. Would you be interested in bringing her along for the team?" And she said, "Yeah, sure." How much is that going to cost? More than she ever could have imagined, I believe.
Right.
Over the years. And then here I am, 27 years later, still playing.
Still dangling out there on the ice. I love it.
Dangling. I would not use that word quite as freely as that. I'm not a dangler, unfortunately. I've probably got all the skills of a cement mixer when it comes to stick handling. But typical D-man. Stay at home.
Typical.
Shoot,
Okay.
Pass.
Typical.
Nobody cares.
Typical stay-at-home defenseman, a solid blue liner. How about that?
100%.
We're actually doing something on January 6th over here with a local rink where we're going to have a high school girls kickoff event. We're going to have members of the New York Rangers office staff. We're going to have members of the Connecticut Whale, which is part of the National Women's Hockey League
amazing.
here. And we're just going to try to grow the sport. In New York State, there are 4 female high school hockey leagues. If we can get 2 more, then the girls can compete for a state title, which is huge. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, we really want to try to grow the women's game. But the fact that I'm even talking to you today, and that you play over there, just speaks volumes to how far the sport's come. So what do you like most about playing hockey?
Oh my goodness. From where I am right now in my life, to thinking back, everything it's given me. Basically, it is part of who I am now. And I know that any hockey player, male or female, across the world would maybe listen to this and they would agree with me 100%. It's the minute from when you're a child, you put the skates on, you put the kit on, you pull on a jersey, that is your life then. And every friend that you make, every country that you travel to, every road trip, every rink you play in, ups, the downs, you share that with so many people, and it's in your blood then. Literally, it then becomes part of your DNA. And I'm quite an athletic person. Like, all through my life, I've played a few different sports and always been like quite athletic and joined in high school sports and things like that. Hockey's always been the one, like first love. If any of my other sports interfered with hockey, then they had to go. Hockey was the number one, and it still is. I mean, I base a lot of my life choices around if I can play hockey or not, or is there any hockey going on? When I'm married now, when me and my husband travel abroad, we always see if there's any hockey going on wherever we're going. We can find hockey anywhere. It's like a radar. And it just is. It is genuine. That's what I love about hockey so much, is that it's for everyone.
Yep.
It's there. You've got your best friends there. You've got your worst enemies there. You know, it's growing up. You can dream about it. You can have some of the best moments of your life on a hockey rink. You can have some of the worst moments of your life on a hockey rink. It is just, it's so. If people don't play and they're not involved with the sport, whether it, you know, referees, coaches, players, whoever, if they're not involved with the sport and you say, I can't, I've got hockey, they won't understand.
No, they don't get it. It's real. It is. It's.
I don't get it. It's
a fraternity. It's a religion. It's a cult. I mean, it's all those things wrapped into one. So you mentioned about traveling abroad. Where have you played? Have you played outside of the UK?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I know we haven't got long, but I played in Canada, played in Colorado, played in Finland, Latvia, Estonia, skated in France, skated in tournaments in Eastern Europe. So, yeah, mostly European countries and a couple of North American countries.
Wow. That's very. I should have asked you, where haven't you played?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's always the places where you haven't played, but it's just that thing of where hockey's expanding, especially being in the UK. You're in a really privileged position to like be able to travel to Europe quite quickly,
right,
and for not a lot of money. So a lot of the junior tournaments that we played were always in like Eastern European countries or in France. So we could get there quite quickly and get there for not that much money.
So along those same lines, Faye, what is the toughest rink or tournament that you've played in recent memory?
Toughest rink, and I'm hoping that there's anyone from the UK actually listening to this and they will be nodding along with this. There's a place in the northeast of England which has a reputation all of its own anyway, called Whitley Bay. And it's on the coast, and it's much better. They spent a lot of money investing in the facility, and it's much more user-friendly these days. But back as a junior hockey player, and even as a younger female hockey player, don't get me wrong, an absolute abundance of absolutely the most talented hockey players in the UK have come out of that rink. I don't know how, because it's literally in the middle of nowhere, but that rink and that facility have produced excellent hockey players over the years. But it was a death trap. And I'm not even kidding, health and safety was not a priority at all. So you'd be walking along the concrete in your skate guards, you'd go into the changing room, which was basically a hole in the wall with like wires hanging down. The shower was a pipe hanging out of the wall that the water came out of if you prayed. And then when you got onto the ice was horribly maintained. The ice and the boards didn't meet in the corners. You had to climb over like a piece of, I don't know, like plasterboarding, like to get over the bench.
Yeah.
And there was no players' benches for a really long time. So where the players sat was the first row. It was like something like a slap shot. I'm not joking.
Right.
The first row of seating in the block was where the players sat. So there was no way of getting from this row of seating, and it was raised off the ice. It was about 3 feet. Like the height of the boards, and then so there was no players' bench. So you had to climb down about 3 feet onto the ice, and then climb back up again onto the top when you'd finish your shift. But that also meant that you had like parents and others unsavoury characters from the area just sat right behind you, throwing chips and food and abuse directly into the back of the players. You were exposed to the elements in that place. I'm not kidding, but it was always kind of like memories and like fun times, because now they've brought the place up to code. And they've got players' benches and glass. They've got plexiglass. That was a step forward. It's kind of lost a little bit of its charm in the fact that it was so horrendously dangerous.
Right. All the modern amenities have kind of taken away some of the shine from the old place.
Oh yeah, and you'd go and you'd be surprised if they'd done something positive with it. You'd go there again and go, oh, they've got hot water now. That's great.
Hey,
they fixed that board, so it's not going to take your eye out anymore. Great.
I was going to ask you, what is, have you ever been treated differently? And this will be a perfect segue to that question. Have you ever been treated differently, either chirped or hit because on the ice because of your gender, or off the ice, like, at a rink like that, or any other situation?
All the time. Like, even now, I mean, it doesn't happen quite so much now, more so because I'm an adult, and some of the guys, I mean, the way the infrastructure is here in the UK is not massive, but it's getting better. But a lot of the girls who have come out of junior hockey, because there weren't, up until quite recently, there weren't any junior girls teams.
Right.
So if you were a girl that wanted to play hockey, you had to play with a junior boys team. So that was very competitive. The standard is higher, so the junior girls obviously have to really work for a spot on a boys' team. So there weren't that many junior girls playing within boys' teams. And once you hit 19, 18 now, you age out of the junior boys. Now those boys will go on and play for the adult senior teams and the kind of the semi-pro leagues, or the sort of higher level teams, and the girls will go off and play. If you're a good standard, you can play with the Women's Elite League, or they'll go off and play with these like mixed recreational teams,
right.
like higher level mixed recreational teams.
Right.
So those guys are kind of used to playing alongside girls, so they're kind of okay.
Right.
But you will always be a target.
Sure. Yeah.
Even now, even though the game's progressed to a point where there's lots of adult women playing with senior recreational teams, because the standard of adult women aging out of hockey now is so much higher than it used to be.
Right.
But also, even there's still that lone junior girl playing on a junior boys team. Is that you've got a target on you all the time. And I'm also an official. I'm a referee now. And I referee senior men's games. So some of the, I say abuse. I mean, I've played hockey a long time, and I find I've got a good boundary between what's abuse and what's kind of banter and what's chirps and what I can laugh at.
Right.
But I know that some of the comments that I've had as an official, whether I can take that as banter or abuse depending on the severity of it, is aimed at me because I'm a female, and they wouldn't speak like that to the male officials.
Right, right. So even as an official, not just as a player, you're still subjected to comments and and nonsense. Hey, let me ask you.
Yeah, it's an eye rolling. Sorry, it's an eye rolling moment, because it's kind of like it's nothing you haven't heard before.
Of
it's
course.
Kind of like, give it a break. Give it a rest, mate. You know, like, think of something more original. If you're going to chirp me, at least come up with something original. Like, I've never heard that before.
Right.
Just tiresome sometimes.
Well, you sound like the type of gal that can definitely take care of herself. So I'm not really worried about anybody chirping you and not getting it right.
Don't ask me about the time that I hit a guy in the face with his own helmet, because that's
all right. So tell me about Tell me about the time you hit a guy in the face with his own helmet. I want to hear it.
It was the same situation we've just discussed. And I was in a recreational game with my teammates, and I wasn't even involved. There was a kind of a bit of pushing and shoving going on in the corner. There was a bit of a fight going on. I was just kind of standing around, minding my own business. A guy comes up and kind of shoves me around. Then just one of these guys, he's not going to pick a fight with one of the guys because he'll not come out well. So he starts trying to kind of goad me into the confrontation. So we're sort of chirping each other, and I'm not going to get into a fight with the guy. And then he grabs me by the hair.
Oh, mistake number one.
Which is one of the things.
Mistake number one.
As I'm skating away, he's grabbed me by my ponytail hanging out the back of my helmet.
Mistake number one.
Well, mistake number one, again, that's the thing where, that's the gender thing again, where you wouldn't have the opportunity to do that to a guy, but why do that to me?
Right.
So he grabs me by the back of my hair and pulls me backwards, and then I'm like, okay, right, we're done. And so I grab him by the helmet, and because I have to wear a face cage. Right. I don't have a choice. I have to wear the face cage whether I want to or not, and he isn't. It's much easier for me to get his helmet off than it is for him to get mine off.
Could I ask you a question? You have to wear a face cage? That's part of the rules?
Yeah, for females.
Even if you play...
There's a rule where if you're born before, I think it's 1975, as a female, you can wear maybe a half of a visor.
Right.
But in any of the current senior leagues now, every female has to wear a full face
mask. But the guys don't have to.
No.
Oh.
If you there's a rule in, I think the 1975 rule is for no visor at all for men.
Right. All
And
right.
then the guys beyond that can wear the half-eyes. And nobody has to wear a face cage if you're male in the UK, unless you're a junior.
So I'm sorry for interrupting your awesome story. So because the guy doesn't have to wear a cage like you were able to get his helmet off a lot
I just
easier.
grabbed him by the back of his helmet and pulled it off his head.
And you hit him right in the face with it.
And I didn't realise I was still holding it when I threw a punch, and I just punched him in the face with his own helmet.
Good for you. I love it.
And then it all kind of went south from there because the guys on my bench kind of turned into Rocky Balboa and decided that I needed all the help.
Right, you needed some
And all
defending.
their guys decided that they needed to help their guys.
Right.
So then I sort of left that situation quite well
Right.
while everybody else was fighting.
Right.
I don't know what's happened here. Everything's just exploded, and then I just seem to be standing by this bench, not really.
Right. What's that?
Yeah, and unfortunately, my husband was actually playing in that game.
Oh.
Because he came steaming in like Rocky Balboa, and the
course.
referee is quite an experienced and quite a young guy, and he says, "I don't know what's just happened, so you can have 2 minutes, and you can have 2 minutes, and everybody else go back to the bench."
Now, listen. What's that old joke that you went to a hockey game and like a fight and a hockey game broke out, or a hockey game and a fight broke out?
Yeah,
or
it was.
something?
That was one of those. I mean, usually the team that I play for, we do all right. There's a recreational team that I play for. We do fine. We don't. That doesn't happen all the time. But some of the teams that we play are quite inexperienced, and they're the guys that will skate around thinking a hit is to forearm somebody in the face or hit them from behind, and that's when it usually descends into madness.
I have a question for you. So would punching the guy in the face with his own helmet also classify as your most embarrassing on ice moment, or is there something that you can share with
I've
me?
got so many though. Like it's been so long that I don't think I get embarrassed now about those certain things. Punching him in the helmet was kind of like oh wow, that just happened.
Love it.
That was that sort of a moment. But, everybody's had those times where they've, got on the ice with the skate guards on, or gone to do, like, this will be the game-winning slap shot, and you've missed the puck and fallen on your face instead.
Right.
Like, all those. There'll be a video reel of me doing stuff like that because it's been so long.
I have.
I actually did fall over on live television as a referee. So I think that was probably my most embarrassing on-ice moment.
There you go.
In a junior, an inter-conference tournament. So we have, regionals.
Wow.
And it's live-streamed. And I was a linesman in this tournament, and the kids, they were like under 15 or like a smaller age group, and they had got into an altercation in front of the net. So I went steaming in like, I'm going to break this up, and just at the last moment lost an edge.
Oh boy!
And hit a group of children like a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
Broke up the fight. It's the best way to break a fight up I've ever seen.
If any of my,
yeah.
if any of my listeners can find video of Faye tripping over the blue line and tackling a bunch of young children, send that to me. Stat.
It will be on a live stream for the junior conference finals about 2 years ago.
Love it.
And I hit, it was like a bowling ball hitting Skittles.
I love it. Love it. Hey, that was
probably the most embarrassing.
One last question for you. Favorite? Now I know you talked about the fact that hockey's in your DNA, it's in your blood, it's a part of you, and that if there's other sports that get in the way, well, they just have to go by the wayside. But do you have a favorite sport to play besides the great game of hockey?
It's still hockey, but it's like floorball.
Okay. Oh yeah, sure. As a matter of fact,
hockey, yeah.
I just had somebody on. His name is Mike Benelli. He's trying to bring floorball to the States. He's based out of New York State here, and he's brought floorball to Puerto Rico. He's brought floorball to other areas like down in Florida or places where kids can't readily access rinks and equipment, and he's had a lot of success with it. He's had the New York Islanders on board, the Florida Panthers on board, the New Jersey Devils. So he's making some nice inroads with floorball for you, and as well as other initiatives, kind of grassroots things to get kids exposed to the sport. So, all right, so it's nice to hear that even though it's not hockey per se, you love playing floorball. You know what? I'm gonna try to connect you and Mike just so he could get a sense as to what floorball's like over there across the pond.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's growing. We've got a hashtag Grow the Game for all of our ball hockey and floorball work. And there's women's teams coming out now because, again, like you said, it's easier to access. A lot of the ice players for extra fitness and extra skills, they go and play. It's easier to hire like a hall in a leisure centre or a dry land facility. It's really cheap to do that.
Right.
There's leagues. I mean, it's it's more established in the north of England, but there's more teams emerging in the south now. We've got nationals, we've got women's nationals. I'm actually playing the women's nationals in 2 weeks' time.
Love it.
With my women's team, and it's getting bigger every day. There's a World Championships. Hopefully, GB will be putting 2 teams in again next year. So yeah, it's big. It's big times, and it is really getting really big over here as well, because it's another opportunity for like that, even the inline players and the ice players to again get involved in another form of hockey that they enjoy.
So I've been chatting with Fey Andrews. She is a stay-at-home, steady defenseman, patrolling the blue line for the Guildford Lightning of the women. It's a women's elite team over in England. Fey, I really do appreciate you taking so much time out of your day. You know, at almost 4:30 p.m. in England, New Year's Eve, to chat with me. And I hope that we can meet one day in real life, whether you're coming back over here or whether I find my way over.
We're over at least once a year.
Love it. So again, thank you so much. You know what? Let me ask you one more question. What advice would you give to younger female hockey players that are going to hear this interview? You know, what do you want them to know about playing the game?
Don't ever give up. No matter what. If anyone says something that's rude or unkind to you because you're a girl or because you're playing, and don't ever let anybody tell you that girls can't play ice hockey, because I heard that a few times when I was first starting out. It's not personal. And if somebody chirps you or you get kind of disrespected, it's because that they're worried about you.
Right.
It's because they're worried about you.
Right.
So don't quit. Don't give up. Stick up for yourself all the time. Stand up for yourself against it, and know yourself that you are the warrior, you are the hero, and that it is absolutely not their business to tell you that you can and can't do stuff.
I love it. That's a perfect way to end the convo. So again, Fey, I wish you nothing but good health, peace, and prosperity in 2018. Thank you again for coming on. This was huge, and enjoy the rest of your day, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All right, be well.
Take care.